Welcome to the BoshNRoll channel. If you want to support my daily Eternal Magic offerings while getting amazing perks like the BoshNRoll Discord community, have me play your deck on the channel, or listen sideboard guides before tournaments, check out the Patreon or YouTube membership program. This channel is possible because of these amazing sponsors. Check them out, all their links are in the video description. As always, thanks for being here. Let's go play some Magic. Welcome back to the BoshNRoll channel. Today I'm playing Legacy, and by popular request, I am playing Dimir ReScaminator. No Patreon subscriber behind this, don't even have a dealer's choice I could spend on it. This is just a deck I have been playing in my own life, and a deck people have been asking me to play, and I'm making it happen. This is the list that I used to make top 8 at SCG Philadelphia. It's also the exact 75 I'm going to play at Buffalo Chicken Dip Legacy. I'm recording this on the Friday that I leave for Buffalo Chicken, and this will come out Tuesday after that event. I don't know how I've done. You'll know how I've done by it now. I'll know how I've done by now too, but this is the same deck I'm playing. I picked this up for Philly kind of on a lark. Obviously, it's emerged very quickly as the top deck in Legacy according to Goldfish data and stuff, but I was also on a heater with Salty Beans, and I had Philly coming up. I was there as a featured creator, and the 5K was the extra event on Sunday. The Modern was the main event, and as a featured creator, they let me in the 5K for free, so it was kind of a free roll, and I just wanted to try this new deck, and I was insanely impressed. I went in ice cold 0 reps, went undefeated through the Swiss, and then lost to the Mirror in the top 8. That's quite a run for a deck that I've never played before. This list has distilled down a lot of the dumbest things you can do in Legacy into an extremely tight package. Grief, Reanimate Grief has been a thing since Grief was printed. The community figured that one out really quickly. Reanimating Archon and Atraxa is obviously just like a whole deck. This has been a deck since basically Tempest when we got Reanimate. Animate Dead was an alpha, but it became, I think, a real deck around the Tempest block. I don't know. Magic historians, correct me in the comments. I know you will anyway. But, you know, Reanimator, well known. It used to be a blue deck back when we had Mystical Tutor. It stopped being a blue deck, became a Rakdos deck for a while. And now we have these bones of the blue protection spells in a aggressive combo deck. But also, Grief is kind of another force of will. But it's a force of will that can also be used proactively and also is a reanimation target. And then, if all that fails, cycling Troll of Khazad Dum and reanimating it, also its own deck archetype, hitting your land drops and having an unblockable 6/5 on turn 2, pretty good. And of course, Orcish Bowmasters all over the place. Wasteland, Daze have been established together in decks, believe it or not. This is a combo we've seen before. This is just a distillation of 3 or 4 different highly tuned, highly appropriate Legacy things into a shell that is ruthless, frankly. And then the craziest thing is the tools that you would normally use to fight Reanimator, the heavy stuff, the Leyline of the Voids, the surgical extractions. One of the modes that this deck has, board out Archon, Atraxa, your Entombs, and some number of your Animate Deads, bring in 3 Dothy Voidwalkers, 2 Murktide Regids, maybe Dismember, maybe Brazen Borrower, depending on the matchup, maybe some other sideboard hate. There's a 4th Orcish Bowmaster in the board. You just become actual Dimir Scam, where you're significantly less soft to the type of nonsense that is required to beat a Reanimator deck. And then you end up just beating down with unblockable 3/2s while your opponent has a handful of surgical extractions. Powerful, protected, proactive game 1. Meaningful, difficult to predict sideboard juke. This deck is very, very good, is what I'm saying. And I'm going to play it today for you. Let's jump in. This is Dimir Scam. ReScaminator, excuse me. Dimir ReScaminator. I am on the play in round number 1. I have a Grief Scam here. I can pitch Atraxa, reanimate the Grief, have force backup for whatever comes next. I'm going to keep this. The list that I'm playing, a lot of lists have 2 Atraxas, 1 Archon of Cruelty. This list has an extra Whale of the Forgotten in the main deck over the second Atraxa. They both pitch to both Grief and Force, though there's no loss there. Well of Forgotten just does a little different stuff, where Atraxa is more the same. Whale's a better draw, generally. But sometimes you do pitch your Atraxa to Grief on turn 1, now you don't have an Atraxa. Okay, I don't care about 4th Aerolingus. I don't care about Terminus. Teferi could be a thing. Not really, though. I'm just going to take the 2 Ponders. Reanimate this Grief. Take that Ponder. Here we go. Against Swords to Plowshares decks, these are the risky ones, because even if you do shred their hand, they have a lot of 1-mana ways to just stop you. Cool. That was a good draw. I'm going to attack with Grief here. I'm going to hold on to the Brainstorm for now. I'll probably Brainstorm in their end step. It's currently my blue card for Force, but I would love to turn this Animate Dead into a useful card. And I have the ability to Brainstorm, get rid of the Animate Dead. Oh, they bin to Stifle. I hate seeing Stifle in a control deck. What's going on over there? They have 2 unknown cards. I'm going to go for the Brainstorm here. Another Grief and another Reanimate. Now I actually think that the Force of Will is among the worst cards here, because I can scam another Grief next turn and just take 2 more things. Yeah, I'm going to... but the Force is so good. If I get this scam off... No, alright. I'm putting that away, and I'm fetching the Surveil land. Undercity Sewers gives me some card selection here. Another Grief. I can just put that in my graveyard and reanimate it. Cool. Yeah, that sounds good. Troll of Khazad Dum. Now I have so many choices. My goodness. All right. I'm going to start by attacking. If I Grief from my hand pitching Animate Dead, then I can still reanimate Grief or Troll, depending on how this board looks. I could also cycle and reanimate the Troll, but I know well, if they have the land, Teferi's coming down next turn. I could cycle and animate Dead Troll. I think starting with Grief here is the way to go. Just gives me the most information. Brainstorm in response. Okay, so they're going to Terminus next turn, which means I want to pump the brakes here. That was a really good Brainstorm to find. And a really bad spot for me to decide to go all in on black creatures and shuffle away the Force. Another Brainstorm, Spell Pierce, Lorien. Okay, what's the play here? Brainstorm gives them the most options moving forward. The Lorien guarantees the land that they're currently missing. I'm not worried about Spell Pierce. Yeah, I'm going to take Lorien. Terminus is a card that's kind of fallen off in playability over the last few years, but it's going to look good here. Maybe it was better to just Animate Dead the Grief that I milled. I mean, now that the Sweeper is online, it looks very obvious that that was the play, but maybe in the interest of stability, I'm supposed to do that anyway. I get and play Underground Sea, and then I'll just pass. Let this Grief get Terminused. There it is. They didn't make a land drop, and we know why, because they drew Terminus, and we can see the rest of the hand. Yeah, now I could have hardcasted Grief, still had Troll in my hand, if this game was different than it is, which it's not, obviously. Grief is much better against Teferi than Troll is. I'm going to reanimate Grief here. I can pay for Spell Pierce. I'm going to hide the fact that I have another land in case they're inclined to Grief, or Teferi bouncing the Grief. Okay, they Brainstorm first. They're really going for the Force of Will here, or some way to set this up for real. Hiding the goods. Grief's in. They didn't find Force. 4th Aerolingus and Spell Pierce are what they have. I'm pretty sure I just take 4th Aerolingus here. That's the card that can flip it and actually win a game on me. Yeah, I'm going to take the Lingus, and I'm actually not going to play the land. Does that matter? No, it doesn't. I was thinking like maybe hide the ability that I could just replay the Grief, but who cares? Now they didn't play Teferi, and they might get punished for it. Attack with Grief. Wasteland. Take you off 3 mana now. And we know there's a Tundra over there. But let's try to keep this squeeze going. Brainstorm. Okay, they have identified that Teferi is not the plan. They found a fetch land, moved some cards around. You don't know anything anymore. They probably got rid of Spell Pierce. I don't think that card's actually good here. Plateau, Plow. All right. They are back to stability. I would love a threat. That's a threat. And it's one that lines up pretty well against a Fairy Time Raveler. Let's keep the goods coming here. Orcish, Jabronis. Becomes very hard to bounce anything with Teferi with Orcs in play. Oh, they had another Plow. All right. Well, now Teferi's very easy to function with. Okay. They did go hellbent to do that. They found 2 plows off that brainstorm. Let's find some gas. Again. Uh-oh. This is where it falls apart. They're hellbent, but so am I. They've got some selection lands off the top here. Kept the card. Hate that. Yeah, drawing all these Dazes and Forces now after the Teferi stuck. You're late. They just plus Teferi and pass. They're holding up 5 mana. Alright, Animate Dead targeting Grief. I'm fully prepared for a hardcast Force here, because that is what they're telegraphing. But this particular play is really good. Oh, we're just luring revealing in response? Sure. I mean, that sucks too, but it wasn't a Force. Wish I could Daze here. Alright, that one is a Force. Yeah, that Force of Negation pitched another Teferi, Mystic Sanctuary, getting back Lorien revealed here. Yeah, they're just swinging for the fences. Triumph on the hardcast. Yep, they got over the hump. This deck is very powerful, but the decks that I normally like to play do have natural game against them, which I like a lot. I mean, it's bad for me right now in this moment, but if Teferi Swords of Plowshares Terminus can naturally work through the BS, that's usually a good place to be. The Orcish Bowmasters I like. I don't think I'm going to cut the reanimation package. I'm on the play, and going over the top of them is pretty exciting. And if their game plan involves plows and terminuses anyway, then moving into the fair creature plan doesn't seem like a solution to that. Orcish Bowmaster come in. I have to find one cut here. Could shave and animate. Animate or Daze are the ones I'm thinking about. Daze is really good at keeping Teferi out of play, but really bad once it's in play, like we saw that game. I think I'm going to go -1 Animate, +1 Bowmaster. Same number of black cards for the things that care about that. And one, they're kind of both threats, they're just threats in different ways. One stands alone better. And if chaining together Lorien revealed is their endgame, more Bowmasters doesn't seem like a mistake. And Jeskai Control would not play Leyline of the Void. They have so many better options than that. I don't need to worry about heavy-handed Graveyard Hate that appears on turn 0. On the play, no Disruption, but I do have Entomb Reanimate. I'm gonna keep. We have seen Stifle in this deck and Spell Pierce and Force of Negation. I'm gonna Entomb on their upkeep. Entomb right now. Atraxa is generally better than Archon for the first hit. Archon's good at removing creatures when you're behind on the board. Atraxa is really good at just having more cards than your opponent when it matters. I'm going to lead on an Animate, because if they counter this the hard way, like if they just Spell Pierce or Force this or something, I can Animate plus Reanimate next turn, where if I start on Reanimate, I'm just not using my mana well. Spell Pierce is what they had. Can we fade the Rest in Peace or Unlicensed Hearse or Dedicated Hate? Because I feel pretty good about cards that might just be in their hand, or anything that's not a hard shutdown is fine. Meticulous Archive and keep the card is what they have. Polluted Delta. And Ascended on the Reanimate. We're in there. Okay, here we go. I started on Reanimate because if the first spell works, I'd rather Bowmaster this turn. If I send it on Animate Dead and only have 1 mana left, what am I even doing? A Ponder is a sorcery. Grief is a creature. So is Troll. I think Grief's better. Wasteland. I did make my land drop first, but the Wasteland will still be good. And Daze is the only instant I have. Deal. I could Grief pitching Animate Dead right now. I could also Brainstorm. See what shakes loose. If I find a different black card that I'd rather pitch to Grief, I could do that. Yeah, I'm going to Brainstorm. I'd love to find some Force of Wills here. Yeah, they did have a Spell Pierce. I can Daze it. Yeah, Daze is actually really good here because I can now shuffle this land away with the Brainstorm. Daze is card advantage sometimes. Put back Underground Sea, and I want Wasteland. I just found an Entomb to go with Animate Dead. I want to Grief them this turn. Maybe I do just put back Wasteland here, and I don't have to shuffle. Yeah, I'll put back Underground Sea, Wasteland, and then Grief, exiling a Bowmaster. I'm leaning into the unfair side here, rather than keep a handful of Bowmasters. Ponder, Counterspell, take this Plow, and pass the turn. Currently pretty hyped about the Wasteland on top of my deck when they have actual Counterspell plus basic Plains in their hand. Chose to shuffle, played the Plains, that means Counterspell's off. They've seen Wasteland already. Plowing in my upkeep, that's fine. They have one unknown card. Yeah, I can just Archon this turn now. I still want the Wasteland for later, but I am going to draw it. I'm not going to use it yet, though. Wasteland, fetch, Entomb, Reanimate. They would have had to hit pretty hard on their draw step for this to whiff. Archon, Animate. Oof, that was good. Force Pitching Ponder, holding up Counterspell. All right. They found something resembling stability, but I do have an Archon in my graveyard, Wasteland in play. I'm going to Wasteland in the upkeep. I guess going to combat's the same thing here. I just don't want them to have mana on my main phase. For this Counterspell in their hand and this Animate that I just drew, obviously. Send it again, team. Cool. All right. Relentless nonsense. Now that I'm showing them I'm still a Reanimator deck, do I want to juke at all here? It seems like the interaction we saw was still Spell Pierces and Forces and stuff, not Rest in Pieces and Ley Lines and Grafdigger's Cages. Everything is worse on the draw. We're just a deck that everything is worse than the draw, and that is what it is. Triumph of St. Catherine. I currently can have 2 ways to bounce it, and I guess Archon can trigger on it. Atraxa is bigger than it. I don't think I want to respect it with a Dismember or anything like that. Yeah, let's go. I still like keeping the reanimation package in here, because they've demonstrated they're really good against creatures. This deck does play a low, almost irresponsible land count. You mulligan some amount of the time. I will keep this one and bottom one of the Griefs. Tundra and Ponder. I'd love to draw a Reanimate. They shuffled the Ponder. Okay, that's kind of a Reanimate, but it's for next turn. I'm going to Grief first, and then I'll Ponder. We're in there. Teferi, Comet, Flusterstorm. I think I take Teferi here. I mean, Flusterstorm is not good against what I'm lining up. Yeah, I'm going to take Teferi. Ponder, just like to find a land. Ooh, not only found a land, found Entomb and Wasteland. The Wasteland is good. I'm just deciding if I want to line up Entomb for a bigger monster now. I've suddenly turned on their Flusterstorm, which I recently said is not useful against what I'm doing. But Archon of Cruelty is, or Atraxa, is much better than a second Grief here. Okay, I'm going to keep Luda Delta at the bottom, Wasteland, Entomb. I draw the Entomb now, I draw the Wasteland next turn. Keep this Ponder as force fodder. If they play the Meticulous Archive this turn, I can waste the Tundra, then get an Entomb through. Ooh, too smart. Playing around it. Wasteland. I could just fire the Waste at a Tundra here. Yeah, I'm going to do that. I'm drawing another land. It's cool. And they didn't do anything with that mana. If they fetch here, I can Entomb, which would shuffle the land away, but I think would be worth it. Looks like they've correctly identified what I'm up to here. There's the Archive. Build another Comet. I'm drawing my land here. Now I'm all the way through the Ponder to the point where this becomes interesting. If I Animate Dead the Grief, get a fresh look at the hand, reset my information, I have 6 more Entombs and Animates in my deck. Yeah, this Flusterstorm is probably just too disruptive at this point. Animate the Grief, can't fluster this. Only instants and sorceries. We're in there. Have a look. They're fetching now. Are we going to see a plow before I can take it? Okay. That is fine. That's not where I'm going to put my Force of Will. And we've got the same cards again. I'm going to take the Flusterstorm. They're 2 lands away from Comet. I have Force for it anyway. Oh, that's good. All right. Everything's different now. Power of Brainstorm. There's Flooded Strand, fetching right away. Ponder, just mixing it all up. We know their deck is full of Spell Pierces and junk. My plan to Entomb in my upkeep is no longer what I'm going to do. All right, I'm going to draw. Misty Rainforest. I can play around Spell Pierce here. If I Ponder, I am required to find another blue card to keep Force up. I'm just going to pass. Ponder, another one. Okay. I don't have a Reanimate, which means that even if they do counter the Entomb, it's not necessarily backbreaking. It's just like, okay, that's gone. And we come up with another plan. Spent another non-shuffle. I'm going to send the Entomb. Just see what they got for this. And I would rather have Atraxa in the graveyard, if anything ends up there. Fetch for my Surveil land. Undercity Sewers. Daze. I don't want Daze. Well, Daze is a blue card for force if I ponder into a reanimation spell. All right, I actually do want Daze. Just trying to get all the pieces together to make one thing happen is the name of the game here. Brainstorm, Brainstorm, Delta. All right, I'll fire a Brainstorm. Brainstorm, 2 Dazes and a Delta and another Brainstorm. I'm going to put back Daze and Delta. Or no, I should put back Brainstorm Delta or Delta Brainstorm. Delta Brainstorm. This one doesn't get to shuffle, but it does largely make sure I don't get Planeswalkered this turn. It does the most to make sure I don't get Planeswalkered this turn. Is probably how I want to say that. Okay, they missed their land drop, which means this plateau is probably gone. Brainstorm again. Just looking for the goods. Put back C and Delta, cycle a Troll. I doubt this deck has a Blood Moon or a Back to Basics, but I'm going to start respecting it a little bit. I got shields up, but this, as the game goes along, it does not favor me. Ugh, that sucks. I have to force this. I don't really have a plan to play through it in this configuration, and they force me back. Okay, well, now 6 cards in my deck are blank. What were previously the best draws are now the worst draws. Kinda hope they just slam Comet here. Heck yeah. Alright, we found a spot for Daze, pick up the Undercity Sewers, and now I have to hardcast Grief or ambush this thing in combat with a Bowmaster before I get anywhere. Daze, Entomb, go straight to the graveyard. I don't want to draw that card. Not helpful. Brainstorm, would have been great to cast a Bowmaster there. They are still attacking. No respect for Bowmasters. Hope I draw one. Come on, deck. There we go. Just quickly pass the turn. Act like nothing's going on over here. Don't worry about it. It's fine. Okay, moment of truth. Can I clear this jerk? Brainstorming in response. Swords to Plowshares doesn't do it here. It does have to be an actual counterspell. Oh god, speaking of actual freaking counterspell. Alright, that's not what I meant, but okay. Okay. Reanimate currently does not do anything, but now I'm ready to cash out if I can clear this priest. Unfortunately, Brazen Borrower and Wail of the Forgotten are both bounce spells, and this creature has flash. Unless my opponent gives it to me here, this is not going to work. Brainstorm, fix me. 2 reanimates, there is a Brazen Borrower. Yeah, this creature having flash is a bummer. Probably just put back the reanimates here and cycle with Troll. I'm not close enough to casting Troll, and I'm Brainstorm locked, so I gotta do something. Virgin nuts. Alright, well, what can I do with this? Nothing. I could Daze it just to clear a card. Does petty thefting this priest even do anything? No. Alright. I think that Stifle was aggressive, but it's also presently really rough. Can I race? I go to 7, you go to 15, you're on a 6-turn clock, I'm on a shorter one. I'm on a 5-turn clock, you're on a 6. My hand is 2. Alright, yep. I'm not winning this one. Yeah, that was well fought. White removal really good against this game deck. And we saw it in action there. Maybe I messed up game 1. Maybe I should have played more to the Force of Will than going deep on black creatures, knowing that they had Terminus in hand and they just need one Brainstorm to completely flip it on me. Possibly I punted that. But good match all around. On to the next one. Introducing Club GG, the mobile platform that lets you create your own poker clubs and play with your friends anywhere. Creating a club is easy. Just download the app, set up your club, and invite your friends. If you want more competition, Club GG offers an optional subscription model, giving you the freedom to choose. Becoming a Club GG member unlocks access to compete for real prizes at a fixed monthly fee and no additional cost to play. Download Club GG now and join thousands of fellow poker enthusiasts. Use code BOSH when you sign up to get a free standard 7-day membership. Club GG, where the fun of poker meets the thrill of competition. Suitable for adults 18 and over. See us at clubgg.net. I'm on the draw in round 2 with a bunch of free interaction. I'm going to keep. Opponent's avatar is Grief. We'll see if they're telling the truth. More Griefs. Okay. I'm going to play my land first because I don't want to get dazed here. I'm going to Grief Exiling Grief. I think Bowmasters stands taller as a magic card if I end up having to grind here. Okay, Daze, Orcish Bowmaster's Lightning Bolt, Force of Will. I'm going to take their Bowmaster because that's the thing that is a threat in their hand. And I will see if they want to Daze a Ponder. I think it would be crazy to do that, for the record. There's no Wasteland in their hand and no way to look for one. They can Daze a bunch of times, though. I actually think I'm just going to shuffle this. I really want to land. Brainstorm, okay. Scalding Tarn. Something's happening. Bolt me. Dragon's Rage Chandler. All right, yeah, that card's pretty good. Got a Brainstorm here. Like I said, this deck is playing just the bare minimum of what could be argued is a remotely responsible mana base. And you do end up in spots like this where you're just digging. Brazen Borrower could take the pressure off Dragon's Rage Chandler, but if my deck does what it's supposed to, I don't need to do that. I think knowing that their hand is a bunch of counters, I need to keep all mine. Might have to just bottom a Ponder here. Or I could bottom a Bowmaster and try to just make the first one work. I'm going to get rid of a Ponder. And then cast the other Ponder. Reanimate gets Grief back next turn. I could cast Reanimate on Grief. And then cast Ponder next turn. They currently have 2 card types in the graveyard. Instant's not one of them. Land is. This doesn't get me through the double Daze. If they have to force, they lose one of the Dazes. They could also just Lightning Bolt. And the race would be on. I'm in trouble to a Wasteland. Whatever, I'm in. Don't shuffle. I should have put the Ponder in my hand so I have Daze and Force Blue card when all else being equal here. But I think I need those counters more on my turn than I do on theirs, so just because of the matchup, it's probably not the horrendous punt it could be in other matchups. Ponder, shit. Alright, they have Delirium. Got rid of a Lightning Bolt. I do have the Brazen Borrower next in line here. They didn't shuffle. I still have perfect info. I really wish this was a Archon of Cruelty, not a Grief. I'm still going to do the play that I have. I was about to say I might not even counter this if they go for the Force. A Bolt targeting Grief. They get a Surveil. Kept the card. Yeah, Grief's dead. I think I actually take one of the Dazes because I can beat a Force of Will. But Daze could get squeezy. Ponder. I know Brazen Borrower's on top. Is there any additional action after that? Well of Forgotten. Not even close to Descended. What does Brazen Borrower actually do? Very little is the answer. And it takes this 3/3 out of play, but it doesn't... But not for very long. They did just keep their top card, though, and Murktide Region is something that they might be inclined to keep. I'm going to keep the Brazen Borrower, and I'm drawing a Troll, which can get my next land. This Borrower can bounce the thing, and then also be a Brazen Borrower. I'm just going to pass. It sucks that Daze is on right now. The best thing they could do is just Brainstorm in the end step. That would make it so easy on me. Nope, they knew better. Okay, right now... Alright, I'm going to let them draw. Maybe I'll try to draw out some of these counters on one of these Bowmasters that I have a lot of. If they Daze this here, pick up a land in their end step, when it's not actually impacting the board, I'm mostly okay with that. Yeah, they agreed. The opponent's doing a great demonstration of focusing on what matters here. Okay, especially since they have another Bowmaster. Okay, theirs kills mine. I have another one of those. Pluto Delta, I'm just getting ahead of this Daze wherever I can. I'll kill your Bowmaster. I don't have an attack here. If this DRC gets through again, I'm at 4 and dead to a fetch, dead to a bolt. Or if I bolt, I'm dead to a fetch, dead to a force. Reanimate's way off the table by now. Okay, they are pondering into this. Into Mishra's Bauble. I do get to take out their Orc army here. I don't think I should put damage on the Dragon's Rage Channeler. I just don't think that's going to matter. I don't think they're going to draw 3 more cards this turn, and if they do, it's going to happen all at once. Okay, DRC is through for 3. And if I fetch in the end step, they bolt, they force my... Yeah, I think I have to do this, even though Lightning Bolt is going to kill me. Damn it. Yeah, they're fetching in response. There was red in the pool, though. I mean, if they have Lightning Bolt, I can't win this game anyway. It's fine. Lightning Bolt, you Surveil. I force, you force. You would have to be a huge dingus to mess this up. Force, pitching Brazen Borrower, which is also my only answer to Dragon's Rage Channeler. Yeah. Yep, they were just pushing damage too well that game. And, like, I did reanimate something. It was just the wrong thing. If that was Atraxa or Archon, the game would end, but instead it was Grief, and that did not come together. Okay. Hydroblast comes in. Dothy Voidwalker. I think I do the juke here. Or maybe. I mean, Delver has like some Grafdigger's cages they can bring in, and I'm still on the play. I think I want to be able to take the pressure off a little bit, but I'm not going to fully juke here. Because they actually just really struggle to beat a giant creature that gains life. Whale of the Forgotten, I think, can come out. I'm upgrading that to Brazen Borrower and Hydroblast. Force of Will can push my stuff through, but it's really bad if I'm not actively pushing stuff through. On the play, I like Daze. I don't really want to wasteland this deck. I am a 17-land deck that just went down to 16, which is risky, but I am also trying to execute a plan here, which is get a big dummy into play. I'm not trying to get into a game where grinding with wasteland is a thing. Maybe I don't have room for everything I'm trying to bring in here. There's just not another card I want to cut. I could cut and animate, because if they do have Graveyard Hate, that jukes off it a little bit. But I'm in this squeeze where I want to be reanimating. My sideboard plan is constructed such that I'm trying to get a big dummy into play as quickly as possible. But also if I shave an animate dead, that makes that slightly harder. But if they do just have Grafdigger's Cage on turn 1, this softens the blow a little bit. I think I'm going to do this. I don't know if that makes sense, but I'm trying stuff out here. We're all testing. I am going to keep this hand and probably just cycle a troll on turn 1. If they try to get spicy with a wasteland, I just have it covered. Bobble. Bobbling me. That card won't be there on my turn. Flooded Strand. Another bobble. Bobbling you. Must have liked the card because they didn't fetch. And a Swamp Cycle. Getting an Underground Sea. I'd love to just draw a Reanimate here and send it. No luck. I'm going to start with Ponder. Wasteland, a bunch of lands. I don't need any of these lands. I'm going to shuffle. Looking for spells here. Animate Dead's a spell. Wasteland, I'm not worried about. I hope they do use it, actually. Cycle another Troll. Grab another Underground Sea. And now they're fetching DRC with 2 card types in the graveyard. Come on, Daze. Ooh, Grief. Interesting, interesting. I could Grief them, and then that increases my chances of trolling this turn. I could Grief them, pitch the Animate Dead, give up on Troll, and have good looks at Bowmaster killing this DRC. I could just send Bowmaster and hope Force of Will protects it. I really don't want to play into Daze, though. Daze is the scariest card right now. I'm going to go for the Grief line and try to get a Bowmaster Honest Exchange on a DRC right now. Okay, they did have a Daze. That does add an instant to the graveyard. They do have another Wasteland. But it's Lightning Bolt, Molten Collapse, Murktide after that. Yeah, I'm going to take the Daze and then Bowmaster their creature. Just get this exchange with Force of Will up, and their hand is mostly bad if I draw any Reanimate. I understand I just pitched one, but you saw that it was necessary. Lightning Bolt on that. I could force this, but I'd rather save it for the Murktide. If I'm not under pressure, I'm not super worried about stuff. Got a basic island in my hand. Another Troll. I'm actually going to cycle for the Surveil Swamp rather than play the island. I'm not going to get a basic Swamp either. I want card selection here. I have punched a hole. I need to put something into it. We'll keep Ponder. That's a lot of looks. If I just find a Reanimate, get a Troll into play. I see the Molten Collapse, but I don't see a black source. I'm going to force this Murktide if they play it. All right, 2 unknowns in the hand. That worked. Let's go. Coast is clear. Come on now. Ponder. Reanimate. I can... With 2 Brainstorms under, it's pretty good. I could just put a Troll into play and try to race their black source, or I could put Grief into play and strip the Molten Collapse. Don't shuffle. Do play around Daze. I'm going to go for Grief. That also deals less damage to me. Grief's in. Lightning Bolt, Molten Collapse. I'll take the Bolt. That is more efficient at doing the exact same thing. At least in terms of what the board currently looks like, it's the same thing. Molten Collapse, Underground Sea. Now we've seen all the things. I'm drawing Brainstorm. I could try to move some cards around aggressively here, knowing that there's another Brainstorm under it. Or I could draw and have a padded hand, but I'm here for velocity. There's a lot of really good individual cards I could draw like these two. But they're even better together. Interesting. Do I want to give them a draw step to set up Entomb Reanimate on one of the real big O's? I could just put Troll into play now and get to work. I think I want Troll now. Attack with Orc. Reanimate targeting Troll of Khazad Dum. We're in there. We're at 9. They're at 16. Race is on. 2 of these? Come on! Alright, I just took 6 damage for no reason. I am going to hold this Brainstorm back because I know Entomb's my top card, and if I want to keep the Entomb to shuffle bad cards away, then I need another card in my hand. What I don't want to do is get roasted by a Bowmaster right now. They've got a bunch of lands. I'm just going to go to my turn at this point. Could have Entombed in the end step, I guess. Okay, Ponder is a nice test for a Bowmaster, because at least I don't heckin' die. Another Entomb, and there's Archon. I'll take Bowmaster, and then I can Entomb the Archon, which also shuffles away the other Entomb. That's not good. No land, no play. Their hand must be full of reactive spells here. Entomb is my shuffle. I want Archon more than Atraxa here, I think. And no land, no spell is suspicious, and then Entomb resolves. I'm going to hold back on this Brainstorm. That's a recipe for Bowmasters. Told you. Okay, that resolves. And then I'm going to ping yours, which also saves my Orc army. Right, good exchange, good exchange. When it did play a land this turn after not playing a land last turn, they either just drew Force of Will to actually want this land, or they just drew the land itself. And they didn't have Bowmasters the turn before that. Now I drew Dismember and I could just kill a Bowmasters if they do have one. All right, I'm going to go for Brainstorm here. More Bowmasters. I'm going to attack with Orc Army. I could ping the Bowmaster and push damage, but if they have their own, if they did draw one and my read is wrong, that's pretty bad for me. Because they get to do the same thing I did last turn where they save their Orc Army and kill my Bowmaster. We're in the Bowmaster subgame. Okay, they want to push damage on me. I'm not going to block. I will fetch. And now that it's basically all the same, I am going to cast my Bowmaster in the end step. This thing's tapped. It's not going to eat anything in combat for free. Here we go. Okay, they do not have a Bowmaster. They would have just used it. Wasteland. Okay. I don't love Wasteland, but I don't hate it. It's fine. And they are dead in 2 hits here. I have a removal spell lined up. Yeah, they just have to bolt my Orc Army. That's not even the terrifying creature. I like that. I'm not actually going to use this Wasteland. I'm just going to put it in play. Just play around soft permission. I can have a full cost Dismember here and pay for a Spell Pierce. Cantrips are super dangerous because I have 2 of these jerks. Oh, there's Atraxa. Cool. Nice of you to show up. I'm going to attack because if they have Bowmaster, I can at least kill before blocks. And if I start playing scared, that opens up the window for them to win the game that I'm currently ahead in. Animate dead. That's a good one. Okay. I'm going to attack with my Bowmasters, and I'm going to Wasteland one of their lands in the end of combat. Okay. They've taken damage. End of combat. I'm going to waste them off. Hardcast Force of Will. Floated blue. Go to my main. Animate dead. Target the Archon. How'd we do? Force of Will pitching Brainstorm. Sure. Well, very good Wasteland there. It did cost them a Brainstorm, which they couldn't cast anyway, but it did cost them a card and a life that they would have been able to keep otherwise. Daze. Uh-oh, they found one? That's super annoying. Okay, so they can ping mine. And then I have 2 options here. I can Dismember their Orc before blocks, forcing the block on Bowmaster. Or I could let them block with Orc Army and then Dismember the Orc Army. I could just trade this board off down to nothing. I don't think nothing on the board favors me. I'm going to let them go to blocks. And now I have to decide. So I could go to nothing on board, or I could kill Orc Army and settle into a game state where we both have a Bowmaster. Okay, I am going to go down to nothing here. I think that's okay. Like, I think my cantrips are better than theirs right now because my cantrips represent Archon of Cruelty. Counterbalance. I could Daze this just to get Undercity Sewers going. There might be hope for Daze, actually. Ugh. Well, they can, if they play Mystic Sanctuary, they have a lot of control here. Also, if they play Mystic Sanctuary, I lose. So I just reanimate a Grief and then die to the bolt they put on top of their deck. I actually have to reanimate Orcish Bowmasters here if I'm going to bring back anything. Okay, here we are. God damn it. Just blind revealed Dragon's Rage Chandler. Okay, we've probably lost at this point. I need to draw Animate Dead to win the game at this point, which there's not that many left of. Basic Swamp's not it. Oh, that was a good sequence. Counterbalance, blind flip, very quickly lethal threat. And they have a Ponder. That's just showing off at this point. They can stack a relevant mana cost to the top of the deck. If they correctly identify that I can't win without Animate Dead, they could leave a 2 on top. Oh, or they could play Grafdigger's Cage. Oh, what can I even do now? Basically nothing. You motherfucker. All right. Well, GG. Well fought. And once again, so I am losing here. I'm 0-2. Both matches were close. Both matches I was ahead for a while, and then they pulled it back around. After just obliterating the Swiss in Philly last weekend, I was a little worried this deck might be over the line. Like, what are we going to do about this? But fair decks just playing interaction and creatures can catch up with what we're doing, and this deck is operating on thin mana margins. It's going to mulligan more often than other decks. It's kind of built on pitch interaction where mulligans hurt a lot, and then something like a Grafdigger's Cage can just turn off the GG button. All right, cool. Next round. This video is sponsored by Moxfield.com, the easiest way to build Magic decks online. Moxfield supports over 30 formats, including Legacy and everything else you'll see on this channel. There's multiple customizations so you can interact with your deck how you want. Views such as text, grid, or stacks. And groupings like type, subtype, color, color identity, even artist. The site offers light mode, dark mode, and so much more. However you want to see your deck, Moxfield can provide it for you. Follow my Moxfield to keep up with the channel and what I'm playing in paper. I'll see you there. I'm on the play in round 3, a hand with no island, but 2 Dazes. I am going to keep this. I can just fire the Entomb, see what I draw, or I could cycle Troll, get Underground Sea. I'm going to Swamp Pass, see what they're cooking with. I hope I start winning some matches, though, because I am leaving for a tournament where I'm planning on playing this deck as soon as I'm done recording here. Literally don't have time to sleeve up a different deck. Let's get some W's on the board. Dial Spellbomb right in the old main deck. Okay. Well, it seems like the meta's adjusting a little bit. Ay. I'm going to cycle for an Underground Sea and figure out how I'm going to win this game now. Of course. Well, I can just send the Reanimate right now, which has the benefit of at least they don't draw a card. It's a 1-for-1 instead of 2-for-1, which it would be in the future. I think I Ponder first, though. See what's going on here. I don't need a second Entomb. I don't have a Shuffle. I am pretty into that Brainstorm and that land, though. Okay, I will... Oh, I do have a Shuffle in the Entomb. All right. I'm going to Reanimate. Let's get this Nile Spellbomb off the board. Yep, okay, cool. Now the Entomb in my hand, I can draw a land next turn. And then I have Entomb in hand, and the next Reanimate can hit a Big O. Brainstorm from the opponent. I'm not going to Daze here. I think that's way too aggressive, especially knowing that I'm about to draw another land, which means I have a land drop lined up. Luda Delta. Volcanic Island. All right, we've got some Grixis something or other in the chat. Is this Grixis Delver? Like, that Nile Spellbomb is so suspicious. Is that just the most aggressive meta call imaginable? I think I actually start with the Brainstorm, because I'd rather cycle or shuffle after the Brainstorm than before it. But I also know I'm drawing a second Entomb here, which is not a card I want to own. All right, I'm going to Brainstorm first. Yeah, as predicted, don't need the other Entomb. And Troll does represent another Shuffle for this other Brainstorm and another land. I don't think I need either of those things, though. I'm just going to cast Entomb right now while they're tapped out, and Daze is awesome. Atraxa, get in there. Successfully shuffled. I've got a bunch of free permission in my hand. Just need to find another way to bring that Atraxa out. And I'm a little suspicious of what my opponent's up to, because Nile Spellbomb's a weird card to have in your main deck. Just paying attention to things that are weird. They binned a Lightning Bolt off their Surveil. They played a land that was not Wasteland. And now I have 4 looks at a reanimation effect. Come on, deck. Hook it up. Drawing a random card for turn. Force of Will's a good one. All right. Let's go. Let's go. 7 outs here. 7 hits. No! Not like this. Okay, put back both of these in tombs. Play my land for turn. And I don't think they're going to stifle me. I'm just going to pass. Because what I want to do is fetch the Surveil land. But if I fetch the Surveil land first, then Daze can hit my Bowmaster. And every hit from this channeler, it makes my life slightly worse because Reanimate is half of the good draws in my deck right now, and it will deal 7 to me when it resolves against this Lightning Bolt deck. Mildly concerning. Surveil land of their own from the opponent. Into Bowmaster, what the heck? That's such a good card to not be interested in. Show me an... Oh god, that freaking Entomb. I don't want Entomb. Motobug. Give me an Animate Dead. Ugh. Ugh. Yeah, just breaking off here. Tough start. But kudos to my opponent, just some clever deck building. Nile Spellbomb is a pretty low-cost card to include in a deck at the floor at cantrips, and it's relevant for Dragon's Rage Channeler. And a lot of decks use the graveyard right now, and just a cool innovation, and they're getting paid off by it, or else that first Reanimate would have had a giant creature in play. Ugh. This Orc Army attack is a little suspicious. Alright, or it was just free and they're doing it. And Reanimate at this point officially puts me into double bolt range. Next turn, Reanimate puts me into single bolt range. Can I please just have it Animate Dead? I don't ask for much in this world. Murktide Regent, which is coming in as a 7. I don't think I can afford to force this. Yeah, I need to YOLO anyway. Or it's coming in as a 6, right? Okay, even better. I need to YOLO anyway, and I think... Jeez, god dang it, Tombs! Okay, I'm at 3 now. Alright, I will pass the turn. Reanimate is completely off at this point. Insane that I've drawn 7 Entombs this game and 1 reanimation spell when I play 8 versus 4 of them respectively. End step Entomb the Archon. At least let's not draw that. Archon, Animate Dead. Let's go. Animate Dead. Grief, I hate you. Alright, I'm going to grief my opponent. I just want to see some cards before I die. That was rough. We saw a lot of cards that game, and they simply were none of the 7 outers we needed. Double Molten Collapse. Okay. You win. Ouch. If opponent is on main deck Nile Spellbomb, what's their sideboard going to look like? I'm partially tempted to just do the no juke again. I'm on the play, and going over the top of Grixis is really good, but Molten Collapse can also kill stuff, though it's not as good as it is versus Izzet, or even Temur. I have 10 cards I would bring in. This is all of the creatures, Unlicensed Hearse, Dismember, Hydroblast. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, if I don't care about Force of Will anymore. I am going to try the juke here, and maybe I can juke them back in game 3. This opponent came to game, though, and I don't want to get caught with no real plan again. I'll keep this. It's got the Voidwalker. This is actually making me think, do I want a main deck Nile Spellbomb over the main deck Whale of Forgotten? Just something that swings the mirror at all is a huge boon in this format. Also helps versus Uro decks. I don't know, I'll think about that in the car tonight. I'll make sure there's one in my bag. Nile Spellbomb, played around it. Not even going to daze that. I got stuff to do in my hand. I'm going to fetch the Surveil land. Get that card selection. Troll of Khazad Dum. Do I want this as a potential land later? Nah, I'm just going to put it straight to the bin. Wasteland, that's fun, but I'm going to go for Dauthi Voidwalker first. Just get it while it's good. I can daze if they try to interact with this any kind of way. You daze, I daze, we daze. I could pick up Sewers for potential future gameplay decisions, or I could pick up the C for mana efficiency. I think mana efficiency is more important given what my hand is trying to do. Voidwalker's in. That makes Dragon's Rage Channeler worse. It makes Murktide Regent worse. It also is an unblockable 3-power creature. They are a Lightning Bolt deck. Who knows how long this thing's going to be around. Okay, the answer is not long at all. But now I can slam a 4/4 Murktide, which is not that big. I could also Wasteland them and cast Ponder, and try to have a bigger Murktide next turn. 4/4 is a 5-turn clock. And 5/5 is a 4-turn clock. Who knows what the Ponder will find. But they do have the Spell Bomb. I don't want them getting antsy and using it. I'm just going to feed the beast here. Put up 4/4 into play. Get the clock started. This is bigger than most creatures they play. Bigger than Lightning Bolt, which is the important threshold. They all die to Pyroblast, another important threshold, where the limit does not exist. DRC. Tiny little baby. Tiny little crybaby. Ponder. Okay, here we go. Milled a Brainstorm. Interesting. Not interested in that. Really digging for answers if Brainstorm is not even something you want to hold on to. My plan here is to Wasteland the Underground Sea. We'll see what things look like come my turn, but that is currently my plan because their black spells are probably better at killing Murktide Regent than their red spells are. We've seen 2 Molten Collapses in the main. Oh, this idiot has to attack now. I have a 4/4. I'm going to start with I could start with Brainstorm, but I don't want to have, I want to Wasteland this turn, so I don't have to shuffle with a fetch. Oh, that's good. Okay, another Wasteland. Reanimate. I have lands forever here. Don't shuffle, Wasteland, take out the black. And I'm not going to attack here. I'm going to make this DRC come to me. If I can get a free lunch, I'm going to eat it. If they have Pyroblast, that's annoying. Lightning Bolt finishes off the Murktide, but at least it's a 2-for-1. I will take that. I could reanimate their DRC, make them Nile Spellbomb themselves, or they just have nothing at all and they're friggin' dead. Wasteland. Toast it. Attack for 4. Now we're doing stuff. Do I want Dragon's Rage Channeler? It'll have 2 card types. It does take a turn off the clock. Yeah, I'm going to reanimate Dragon's Rage Channeler. And if they don't like this, they lose their Spellbomb. Perfect. And if I happen to get Delirium and they use Spellbomb to take off Delirium, that will grow the Murktide. Win-win-win situation. I start with a Brainstorm, which gets the extra Surveil. This is my 3rd card type. Here's my 4th. Another Wasteland and a Daze. It's going to be hard to lose this game, I'm going to be honest. I'll just put this Wasteland in, let them know. I got another one. Yeah, they just scooped. Nice. All right. Out Delver the Delver deck. Blank the Nile Spellbomb. They had it on turn 1. It was still in play at the end of the game, and they were dead. That's the power of the Juke. Do I want to Juke back at all here? One of the problems with the Juke in this deck is that it's a very heavy Juke. It's hard to partial Juke. Like, if I just want Archon of Cruelty in my deck, there's no reasonable way to put it in my graveyard other than Entomb. Like, I could Brainstorm it to exactly the top of my deck and then play Undercity Stewards without fetching for it because I can't shuffle. Or I could go to hand size and discard it. Bringing in 1 Archon, even though I have 6 Reanimates in my deck still, would require at least probably 3 slots. I don't know what the tipping point is where this package is worth doing, but even having an eject button, if I want one, so they know they're not just playing against Dimir Scam or getting them somehow, it's really hard to do. And with all that said, I'm not going to do it. Submit my deck. Okay, just some Wastelands and cantrips and stuff. I'll keep it. This is the deck we're on. Bobble. Bobbling me. Jamming a fetch land. And Delver. Okay, Delver of Secrets confirmed to be in the deck. Haven't seen that one yet. Whale of the Forgotten. I can try to like waste them out here. But they have 4 cards in hand. They're about to draw 2 more. That seems like a mistake. I'm actually going to take the exact opposite and play as stable as possible. If they didn't play a creature, I would have wasted them. But them having a threat in play is kind of corny for me. Force of Will, Brainstorm, Reanimate. I could put Troll onto the battlefield next turn with Force backup. Okay, if I take 9, or if I take 3, I'm at 16. I reanimate them at 10. They attack me to 7. At some point, I can Whale of Forgotten, or fetch. Force them actually at 6. I'm 2 hits dead from Delver very quickly here if I take this reanimate line. I think I'm in for it though. Let's play the game. It would be great if Delver didn't flip. It would be unlikely though because they did bobble themselves and get double looks and yeah, revealed a Ponder. So they're in for 3. Underground Sea. Ponder. Leaving up red. Am I willing to go all in on Will of the Forgotten to win me this game? So removing the Delver is necessary if I'm going to win the race, if I reanimate Troll this turn. They also might counter the reanimate, and then they're down a card, and my life total is still flush. I'm going to send it. I'm playing on basics here. I can't really afford to get wasted. This is really scary on the draw into Delver with 5 cards in their hand. I don't like it. It would be great if they just passed the turn here. I'd appreciate that quite a bit. Wasteland, played around it, got him. Molten Collapse, they're playing around Daze here. It's unfortunate for me. I can't play around Daze. If they have one, I'm in big trouble. Shit. Alright, my Troll's dead. I just took 1,000,000 damage for no reason. Maybe that play was horrendous. I would believe it. Okay, Wasteland your Underground Sea. And then bounce your Delver. This sucks. Not a good plan. But let's at least take the pressure off as much as we can. If they force this, we're very dead. Yikes, what a beating. Alright. I guess I can just see if I draw Dismember next turn. And hope that they never have a Lightning Bolt in the entire game. Okay. Black mana doesn't cast Lightning Bolts. Their last card in hand is Volk right now. If I draw Dismember or Brazen Borrower, we could still play the game. And then if I can waste their red source before they bolt me at 3 life. And maybe that Reanimate line was just horrendous and I should have shuffled the Ponder. I'm glad I'm doing this now. Alright, we're dead. I'm glad I'm doing this now instead of in the tournament. Because I outlined all the risks and then I was like, I think I got this. But I for sure did not got this at all. On to the next round. Still have not won a match. The NYSE Open is a prestigious, long-running vintage tournament based out of New York City. It's returning again this summer, June 22nd, 2024 in Plainview, New York. This 15 proxy event has a $500 entry. That's a lot of money, but what are we playing for? First place gets a Black Lotus. Second through 8th place get Time Twister, Time Walk, and all 5 Moxen. At 115 players, a playset of Bazaar Baghdad is added to the prize pool. At 135, 4 Mishra's Workshops. At 155, 4 Foil Gaia's Cradle. This prize pool is better than Eternal Weekend. If you think it's worth playing for, sign up for the event on melee.gg or use the link in the video description, and I will definitely see you there. I'm on the draw in round 4 with a hand that is obviously not ideal, but if there was one spell that would help me keep a hand like this, it's Brainstorm. I'm also supposed to be scamming. I'm going to mulligan this. I'm going to try to lean into what this archetype's about. I would keep this in a control deck, though. Mulligan and rewarded with a 1-lander that can grief or troll. I'm going to keep this in bottom of force. Seat of the Synod, Mishra's Bauble. Memory Lurker Volok. Pain in my Tuchus. Resolves. Pithing Needle, revealed. And some more baubles. Underground Sea, I can just cast Ponder here. Daze, Troll, Swamp, I don't want any of these cards. Shuffle. Bowmaster, not bad. They have a 1/2 creature and multiple baubles face up. Good chance I can eat this Ember at some point. Have a little fish and chips. Fry her up good. Targeting Bauble with that. Urza Saga. They did not bauble on their own turn yet, and we got away with it. Okay. Draw for turn. Entomb. I like that one. Let's see if they want to bauble me, in which case I will murder Emery. Cool. They did bauble me. I'm going to fetch to hide that information immediately. And then I'm going to go to their turn and Bowmaster in response to the bauble trigger. I am prepared to force to fight over this. Force pitching a backup Emery, force pitching the Ponder. Okay, Emery. Looks like she's going to die. She does get one more trigger on the way out. They can draw another card here. Ping you. Oh, okay. Do they know that they could just target a bauble and cast it later? They don't have to do it all at once? Or they... I mean, it's better to have bauble in play, right? Even if you're not going to pop it, because you're about to... Yeah, all right. I think they just missed on that one. I now need to beat these Urza Sagas, though, which is not a strength of the deck. Grief pitching Troll. I can see what's going on over there. I can Brazen Borrow one of these things and then be chilling on an Entomb for when I find my Reanimate. Yeah, I'm going to Grief them. This deck's not going to attack my mana. I don't really need a third one. It's fine. Just want to know what's going on over there. Emery, Kappa, Psy, Thought Monitor. Okay, so the full range of cards in their deck that could be good. Thought Monitor is pretty bad here. I don't know if I can beat a Kappa. Can't really beat a Psy either. But luckily, their mana's tied up in these sagas that are both going to die. And Atraxa just races a Kappa. I'm not really close to doing those things, though. I am going to take the Kappa. That's also, I think, the best one to reanimate, if that's what we end up doing. And I'm going to attack. I'm just going to borrow this construct whenever they make it, so might as well push damage while we do it. You're in there. Petty Theft. Get out. Unfortunately, Saga decks tend to main deck Graveyard Hate. If they just tutor up a Soul Guide Lantern here, it's going to be really hard to do anything. Constructs in, they could get a Mox Opal and play Emery. I really hope they go that route rather than the defensive route. Okay, Shadow Spear I barely care about. They drew Mox Opal. That makes sense why they went for Shadow Spear then. That's what I would have tutored for Opal, but having drawn it for turn, now the graveyard's full of juice. Can I draw a Reanimate, please? Hey! Sometimes all you gotta do is ask. Entomb. I believe Archon is the get here. Archon of Cruelty. Reanimate Archon of Cruelty. Because their hand is kind of bad, and also I would like to control this board a bit. Either Spellbomb can come out of this thing. Oh, that sucks. Alright, well, we might not have this very long. But if they're going to make a construct, they have to draw a blue source if they're going to tutor Spellbomb and use it before I get a good crack in. And they are making constructs. Alright, don't clown me here. I'm asking nicely. Okay, there's the Spellbomb. We know. The deck did the thing it was supposed to do for the first time in the entire league, and we're still going to freaking lose. I will block with Orc Army, because I can't afford to take 7 here. They're going to have to bounce the Archon. And they can do that basically whenever. That does cost them 2 artifacts and makes their squad smaller. Whale of the Forgotten's interesting. I have 2 permanents in my graveyard. Alright, well, quit farting around. You better bounce this thing. I'm coming. Coming for you. Okay, there we go. That has happened. Can't attack. And I guess I Whale of the Forgotten to bounce target permanent. Targeting a construct. Wait, I am damn near out of removal here, though. It doesn't matter, like, I'm just losing. Was I supposed to wait a turn on the Reanimate so they can't tutor the thing? I mostly just needed to fade them drawing a blue source 2 turns in a row. Their hand was no mana sources last 2 turns, and both turns they presented exactly enough mana to disrupt me and do what they wanted to do. Life is pain. But once again, we're just losing to just fair heads-up magic, which is at least a relief for people who want to be honest about playing this game that we love and not a big scammy jerk. Okay, I'm not winning this race. I can take 6 here, or 5 here, maybe more if they draw an artifact, play Brazen Borrower, fetch the Surveil land, and fingers crossed, IDK. Bad news everywhere. I've used both of the removal spells that are in my deck already. Brazen Borrower, get in. Fetch, I go to 2, doesn't matter, I'm dead to trample anyway. Undercity Sewers. Daze is certainly not it. Would have been it any of these other previous turns. And Wasteland, I still lose to the 4-4. Tough game. Another close one that we were on the wrong side of at the end. Dress Down comes in, Brazen Borrower comes in. I am going to juke on this deck. Do the whole thing. They're a Chalice of the Void deck. They play main deck Graveyard Hate. They're going to have more afterboard. Also, stuff like Dress Down and Null Rod is just really good for me in the matchup. Do I win that if I had reanimated Kappa? I don't think so, because I can't play artifacts to make it unblockable. Even if the ward keeps them from removing it, it's smaller than the creatures and not unblockable. So no, the answer is no. Daze is kind of mid in this deck, or against this deck. Force of Will is not huge either. Dress Down's Null Rods plus all the creatures. The reanimation package is out. Let's do it. I will keep this hand. Bowmaster is good in the matchup. I like Pondering. This is not a deck that attacks my mana. I could get Underground Sea. Wasteland's really good. Brainstorm and Reanimate is whatever, but Brainstorm and Wasteland are cards I want. Alright, they're having some sort of big turn 1, multiple petals. Chalice of the Void is a powerful card that I can't currently interact with. Luckily, I don't really need to. Orcish Bowmaster is a dealer. Dismember plays through this. Eventually, I can Murktide. Don't really want the Reanimate on top of my deck, but nothing I can do about it at this moment. Are they going to have Hull Breacher in their deck? I'm just trying to think what this deck would do with 3 open mana. Force of Will, pitching Force of Negation. Okay. So they fought over that. I'm drawing a Reanimate that I can't cast. I am not going to wasteland the Seat of the Synod. I'm saving this for an Urza Saga. Memory Lurker of the Lock. I can dismember this thing, and I'm going to have to. That's a pretty good graveyard. And I'm just tapping all the way out for this. If they have Metallic Rebuke, it gets me even if I Phyrexian mana, and they're not going to have Daze. A blue source puts Murktide Regent on the stack. Hey, Emery's dead. Come on, deck. Yikes. Yeah, another weakness of this deck is that it is a old school, all-in on efficiency, sucks against Chalice of the Void deck. I'm just going to waste this in response to its trigger. You're not getting any mana. I'm coming for this regardless. You're trying to float mana? Doesn't work. Untap your lands. Got him. Okay, Urza Saga's in the graveyard, and they have some spell they would have liked to cast here. Yeah, a lot of decks these days with Molten Collapse, Braid, Brazen Borrower, like all sorts of stuff. Prismatic Ending, Leyline Binding, Chalice of the Void is basically the worst it's ever been since its printing, and this deck is old school soft to it. I'll take that. Slam this baddie. Then we'll both just play Idiot Magic for a long time. They do get to bobble me. They saw Reanimate at random. And they are playing on a basic island now. I am playing without most of my deck now. And we'll see who can break through this better. Or sooner. I really just need an island, though, and I'm cooking. Or I could keep drawing Reanimates. Whale of the Forgotten, Brazen Borrower, give me a turn without Chalice in play. We're doing stuff. They found a Saga, of course. Why wouldn't you? Yep. Why would I ever draw a blue source before my opponent draws 2 Urza Sagas? You know, the 4 in their deck that they clearly didn't have, and now that I'm dealing with my second one in the game, versus the, like 20 blue sources I play, if we're counting. And they drew another land that doesn't get null rotted. All right, I'm going to need a dress down to win this game. I'm losing my mind. Holy smokes. So I do get to play the game, at least a little bit. This thing will eventually be smaller than the Saga tokens. So 3, 4, 5. It's bigger, or 1, nope, 4, 5, 6. It's already smaller than the Saga tokens. I'll probably take 6 once from this and then see what I draw and if it can do anything. Oh, I actually should have cast Reanimate last turn. Murktide could have been a 7/7. Okay, I actually blew it. There was a line here where if I Reanimate, it gets countered, then eat Reanimate. My Murktide's bigger. And then I'm a turn ahead on this interaction. Yeah, they should definitely attack here. Okay, I am not going to block, even though this might be the best chance I get at a trade in the whole game. I'm just going to bank on drawing Dress Down or being able to remove Chalice. Come on, deck. Daze. All right, well, we've probably lost. And this one was on me. I will take responsibility here. This could be a 7/7. We could have the biggest creature and 6 more life. Now I'm going to have to just Force of Will random artifacts so their creatures don't get too big. And I am going to have to take a trade this turn. Yeah, this is not a card I can beat. Force that, Pitch Ponder. Show me one of the 100 forces in your hand. Great. Great! Alright. Well, dead. I could still draw Dress Down, I guess. I will continue playing to my outs. They have 4 mana in the pool. Chalice on 2. Well, I'll just Daze that. Okay, I'm now going to chump block and hope that I draw exactly Dress Down. And even exactly Dress Down only saves me for 1 turn. I'm still dead in 2 hits after that. And we're dead. I'm going to be fending off a reverse trophy with the top deck in the format that I also just top 8'd a premiere event with. This is the weirdest thing. I'm not afraid of an 0-5 with a brew. This is just, the format has risen to the challenge of this new deck, let me say. Welcome to TopDeck.gg, your community's home for everything competitive Magic has to offer. If you're hosting an event, playing for a huge prize, or advertising your events to thousands of players, we've got you covered. Using intuitive pairing software, playing Magic is a breeze. Players just have to sign up online, then scan the QR code in-store.
give competitors the gift of perfect information as their bracket updates in real time. The self-reporting software saves you time and leaves paper match slips in the past. Leave the heavy lifting to topdeck.gg so your community can relax and focus on playing Magic.
I'm on the draw in the final round, trying to fend off going 0-5 with the best deck in the format. I am going to keep my hand. It has kind of a slow scam, but it is a scam. Misty Rainforest, Mishra's Bauble. Bloodhound has a lot of Mishra's Baubles this league, in various forms. Bobbling the top of my deck. Brainstorm. Okay, I can fire this Grief, see what they've got going on. I could Brainstorm, try to find a different black card to pitch if I'd rather do that. Though, alright, I'm actually just going to Grief. If they Daze my Grief, that would be so bad. But there's no sequence of lands that guarantee Animate Dead on Grief next turn. Alright, I'm just going to go with pitch and Animate Dead to Grief and hope they don't have Daze. Shocking, embarrassing, shameful stuff. They do have a game action. Volcanic Island. Please just cast Brainstorm and then let Grief resolve. We floated red. This is not a Brainstorm. This is a Daze floating red. Oh my god. And that does set them back a land, so it's not like a full blowout. Entomb. This is my only black source. Do I need to high roll this game to play it? I think I do. I'm going to put Entomb on top of my deck. Yeah, that was really awkward and shitty. The underground sewer or Undercity Sewers, pretty cool in a lot of spots. You do get a lot of value, but it actually made this hand from probably pretty good to the complete stains. Yeah, they even have the Wasteland. My god. I guess I just play this island and pass my turn with plans of maybe casting a spell next turn. Good news is I have a Wasteland, and I know they have a Volcanic Island. And if they're casting Ponder instead of Delver or Dragon's Rage Channeler, this is an opportunity now. Did not shuffle. Orcish Bowmaster. I'm going to play Wasteland and cast Brainstorm, which is not really how I want to do this. I'd rather Brainstorm and then see if my hand does something better. But my opponent has shown me they're a Daze deck. Archon of Cruelty goes back, and it's a lot of Orcish Bowmaster. I think I'd rather have the second Brainstorm. The Troll does cycle, even if I Wasteland. Yeah, I'm actually going to put back Archon and Bowmaster, and I am going to Wasteland them. Then I could cycle Troll in my next upkeep, get the Swamp, which casts the Entomb. I don't know, let's just hope that wasting them puts them in the dirt with me. They're not in the dirt, but they might be slowed down. Please don't play Stifle. Please don't play Stifle. Okay. Get Swamp, actual Swamp. The magic card Swamp. Play a Swamp and pass. They're casting Brainstorm. Yeah, go ahead with that. I am going to pump my brakes a little bit here and play around Daze. I'm not just going to send Entomb, Animate Dead. Next turn, I can Brainstorm, move some cards around, try to find a Force or Daze, and then, or a Grief, and then also Entomb all of its around Daze. I'm not giving them that for free. I'm not that desperate here. Volcanic Island. Dragon's Rage Channeler, super delirious. Draw for turn, it's a Bowmaster. Brainstorm. Brazen Borrower, more lands. Underground Sea and Polluted Delta can go back. And then I'm just going to cast Entomb now. Do I want Archon here? Or do I want Atraxa? Archon does more on arrival. Or, well, I mean, does a different thing. It helps stabilize better on arrival. Yeah, I'll take Archon. Might not end up with either of them, but I'm going to put Archon in my graveyard. Best draw is Grief or Reanimate. And I can Reanimate targeting Grief or just send Reanimate on Archon, they counter it, and then I can animate afterwards. Something that results in a Grief is what I want, is what I'm saying. And they're passing the turn. Ponder. All right, let's move some cards around. There's Grief. Cool. And Force of Will. All right, I'm going to wait until next turn and just do it all. Put Force in the grip now. I'm drawing Grief next turn. Yep. All right. Double protected and playing around Daze is the game plan here. If some effect in the end step, Seek the Beast, sure. Hopefully the Seek the Beast results in them having to do stuff in their main phase that taps them low into everything I'm trying to do. They kept the card. Force counterbalance. Counterbalance, eat shit. You try to live your life honest, and then there's just people out here who want to steal from you everywhere you go. And the Force of Will is currently in exile,
God, that sucks. And they have card selection based on the counterbalance. All right, I'm going to hope that they pick one. They milled a bauble. They correctly identified that 0 is not it. If they didn't also flip a force off of this temporary use questing druid business, I probably would have forced the counterbalance. Okay, let's play this stupid game now. Grief, target you. They're unlikely to reveal a 4. I don't even think they play them. They do have 5s. There's Force of Wills in the deck, at least 3. One of them's in exile. Grief, get a peek. Oh, there's all the other forces. Cool. Force, Daze, Murktide. Do I just take Murktide here? Because Force, they'd have to do 2 things anyway. If I take a Force, I think I want to take Murktide. Daze is not part of this game right now. Okay, taking Murktide and casting Animate Dead. And hoping there's not a 2 or 5 on top of their deck at any point in this sequence. Should I fetch first? Is there anything in the sequence that would affect that? I don't believe so. All right, Animate Dead. Don't have a 2. Lightning Bolt. Okay, good news, everybody. They're going to force. I'm going to force back. They're going to fetch. And I know there's only 1 force left in their deck. They're literally flipping to a 1-outer here. So the way this league has gone, they're likely to hit it. They're deciding what to pitch. They're in the tank right now, deciding how this game's going to look. Force pitching force. Okay. And I'm actually going to force back now before this Dragon's Rage trigger happens, because that's an extra look at counterbalance. They're going to have to crack this fetch land and just hope that their last Force of Will in their deck is the top card. Please don't be, by the way. They might have a Thundering Falls to get an extra look here. Okay. All right. Moment of truth. Do I become the Joker? Or are we just playing Magic like normal people? Oh, the Daze gets an extra look. Okay, that's fair. They know they're drawing thin, and this is actually super smart to get the extra look here. Please put a card in the graveyard. Please put a card in the graveyard. They did put Brainstorm in the graveyard. I'm paying for Daze. I guess this is 1 extra counterbalance look that if I had taken Daze instead of Murktide, they wouldn't have, but Murktide comes out bigger. All right, cool. Ugh. For the first time in my entire life, the Variance Gods just held up a reasonable expectation. Okay, they are going to discard the land they just picked up with Daze, almost certainly. They lose DRC. I have a 5/6 in play, and they're drawing a random card off the top. All right, deck. Let's go. Can we get one? This is where they Unholy Heat and then easily win the game. Wasteland. Cool, that's not it. Their card in hand is Questing Druid. They're just seeking a beast in the upkeep. Exiled Wasteland Delver. We got one! We're on the board. Up a game in game 1. Have I won a game 1 yet in this whole set? Okay, I am doing the juke. I'm on the draw, and we just got them with reanimation, but only barely. Counterbalance is a hell of a thing to have to play against. I am proud of all my opponents, though, for having real game plans. This is something we talk about on Eternal Glory podcast all the time, where it's like, a new deck shows up and immediately people are like, this is bullshit, ban Grief, ban Bowmasters, whatever. And it's like I crushed a tournament without trying 4 days ago. And now I'm 0-4 in a league fighting for my life against people who made minor adjustments, like main decking Nile Spellbomb or main decking Counterbalance and otherwise just playing Magic. Legacy is a resilient format. We'll see how it shakes out over time, but currently I'm not mega stressed about it. Okay, I'm going to take out 2 forces. The only thing I'd really want to force in this matchup is Counterbalance and add a bunch of creatures and stuff. Let's do it. Okay, I got lands. I have threats. I have some disruption. Please cast Ponder and not a creature. This is the first test of the game. Grafdigger's Cage. Got away with it. I hope they kept a stinker hand based on that Grafdigger's Cage. It does blank 6 cards that are in my deck, but also it just doesn't blank the whole deck. The juke is here. Currently does not affect any of the cards in my hand. I didn't ponder on turn 1. Maybe I'm supposed to, but if I'm going to Voidwalker on 2, I need black. And if I don't want to shove into Wasteland, I need to get Basic Island, which are all incompatible with each other. I could just get the Sewer, do a little Surveil, see what's what. They have 2 card types in the graveyard. The Bauble can make 3. They didn't flip a sorcery. Okay, I might just try to Bowmaster this
DRC and use Force to push it through. If I could take this pressure off, it would be huge. It would be even better if I can find a black card I wouldn't really miss. If I draw like a Reanimate or Animate Dead, that's a great place to put one of those right now. Wasteland, okay. Do I want this? I think no. I'm going to put that in my graveyard. There's more important things going on right now than Wasteland. Unlicensed Hearse, interesting. Okay, the options here are I could pitch Voidwalker to try to make sure this Bowmaster does what it's supposed to do. If their hand is a weird smattering of card types, though, the Bowmaster might, or the Grief might enable Delirium, and then Bowmaster doesn't work. If they fight over Bowmaster, they do get at least one Surveil trigger. I could play Unlicensed Hearse, get this graveyard under control, make sure Bowmaster kills this thing when I play it. That actually seems like the best way to go. I'm going to play the Hearse. I'm less upset if this gets interacted with, but also it's really good. I think I am going to Force of Will here. This is a really powerful thing given the rest of my hand. They kept a card on top. I wish this was Daze and not Force, but I'm forcing this. Trying to clear the runway for this Bowmaster to get some insane exchanges. Cool. They pass the turn. I guess I should probably just eat the spells now. Or they did just Daze. If they have Murktide, they can slam it. Yeah, I'm going to eat the 2 spells now. At least try to mitigate the size of Murktide. If I wanted to respect the board more than the potential from the hand, I would eat the Bauble and one of the instants, because it's harder to replace an artifact in the graveyard than an instant. Wow, they're surgicaling my Force of Will? Come get me. You'll find one of those in the deck. Deal. They better do something big right now, because that was basically a free card placed in my hand. But yeah, here we go. Grafdigger's Cage, not affecting this game right now. Surgical Extraction, not affecting this game right now. The Juke, it's happening. And they took the other Force of Will out of my deck. They might use this space to resolve Counterbalance, which is actually really powerful. They could do a 4/4 Murktide, which I tried to play around and failed because of the Surgical, which will become a different problem to answer. But my answers are in. Okay, here we are. This is scrappy and ugly, and they're down 2 cards on me. They are currently ahead on some of the more important metrics, but I'm gaming. I'm in here. I'm doing stuff. This Murktide could have been a 7/7. Played around that at least. Do I want to just grief them now? I don't think so. Like, the Reanimate doesn't really do anything, but also I'm not worried about much in their hand. Okay, I'm going to pass. And I could just cast Grief if I draw a land. Ponder. I do have to be careful about exiling their graveyard now, because if I exile spells, the Murktide gets bigger. I'm just looking for one of my 2 borrowers, my Whale, one of my own Murktides. That's actually not that good. Not looking for a Murktide. So 2 Brazen Borrower, Whale, Dismember. The race is actually pretty close here, too. They're attacking for 4 a turn, starting at 17. I'm attacking for 3 a turn, starting at 15. We're both on 5-turn clocks. They got the first attack, though. The Hearse gonna exile the Wasteland and the DRC. We have to leave Ponder alone. Don't want to change the clock for them. And draw for turn. Troll is not bad. I'm gonna Grief pitching Reanimate. I want to know what's in their hand. I want to resolve my Voidwalker. I want to win the race. That's what's going on here. This looks like Lightning Bolt. Yeah, clearing the Bowmaster. That's fine. Hearse is crew 2, so I can't crew that with the thing that's about to die. I can crew it with the Grief before it dies, though. Take this Pyroblast and then crew with the Grief. Just an extra 4 damage when I already said the race is close. Opponent's Hellbent. I got way more damage than them on the board. Let's go. Can we get a win? Can it ever happen? Is it possible? Fingers crossed. And they just passed. Cannot afford to attack. That's cool. Dothy Voidwalker's going in. Can't block either. I can exile 2 cards from my own graveyard and then Hearse is a 6/6 next turn. They're not winning if they attack. They're not winning if they don't attack. Exile 2 lands from my graveyard. And we did it! We got a win! Reverse trophy fended off. Let's unpack this a little bit. I did just narrowly fade going 0-5 with the top deck in the format. Some things that happened. Opponents have adjusted.
Main deck Nile Spellbomb in Grixis Delver? Okay, sure. There's that. I'm not saying it's insane. I'm just saying I haven't seen it yet, and it seemed really smart for this matchup, if this is the one you're trying to beat, without being a brick in other places. So smart innovation, main deck counterbalance from the Delver player. They've been in and out of that for months now. That's not like for this deck, but it seems like a reasonable time to be on that tech. Decks like 8cast that can tutor a Graveyard Hate or Aether Spellbomb kind of thing while applying bigger pressure than me in game one. Those are well positioned. Make sure if you're playing this deck, your sideboard can answer that, because that actually does seem kind of tough in general. All of the matches were close. There were no slaughters. It all came down to like either somebody drew the critical thing they needed right on time. Like that Grixis Delver match that I lost where I was beating down with Bowmasters for 3 turns and then they had Bowmaster into counterbalance into blind flip plus threat. Just ding, ding, ding in a row. Sure, that's within the realm of things that could happen, but they also ran hot. There was that game where I put a monster in my graveyard and then spent the next several turns like Surveil, Ponder, Brainstorm, Ponder, no hit on a 7-outer to reanimate the thing when the coast was clear. That sucks. I will also say at SCG Philly on my way to top 8, I caught the other end of that pretty often where I would like keep a 1-lander, cast Ponder, keep no lands in the Ponder, entomb in my next upkeep, put a monster in the graveyard, and then draw a land for turn to cast the reanimate that was in my hand. Where it's like, I would have been fine with that line taking 3 turns, but the fact it took 2 because my deck delivered the Black Source right on time makes it the nuts. This is a deck that exists on thin margins. The land count is really low. The removal in the deck is basically non-existent. If it's not an X1 or you're not attacking with Archon of Cruelty, it's really hard to remove anything once it's in play. But you do have a wall of shit that your opponent has to get through to keep anything in play, so it's kind of it's betting a lot on the front half of the game and hoping that the second half of the game just takes care of itself. Those games where you grief scam a control opponent and they have no cards, no non-lands in their hand when they start their turn, but any turn that they draw Swords of Plowshares for the whole game just gets them back to stability. This is a risky deck to play, and even compared to just Delver, this deck is not that stable. At least it's not trying to always play towards stability. There are games where your hand says, go down to 1 card, but you have something good and your opponent doesn't, and hope it holds. Certainly compared to a control deck. If you love Uro gaming, you would hate this deck. You have to be willing to take those risks, though. Like, I will keep a 1-lander. I will keep a hand with only Wasteland plus Troll and then try to figure it out. I will keep 1 land, Entomb, Reanimate, Force of Will, and just hope that my opponent doesn't have 2 counterspells or whatever. I do keep those hands, and sometimes it pans out, like my run back in Philly, and sometimes it doesn't pan out, like my run today. I'll have more thoughts by the time this video goes live, because like I said, I'm getting in the car as soon as I hit stop record on this, and I'm headed out to Columbus. No time to try a new deck or figure anything else out. This is what's happening. I like seeing the meta adjust. I like seeing this new deck emerge, number one, from a pretty stable metagame, and then I like seeing the metagame move to attack it. Just all healthy stuff. Creative, healthy stuff. Legacy rules. Everyone, thanks for watching. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, check out the Patreon, and I'll see you next time.